following presentation is controversial and may be offensive to some audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. If you consider yourself a patriot and a true American, please know that your way of life is in danger. I'm talking about your guns, your savings, your health, your safety and security. It's no secret that the country you love has been grossly mismanaged under President Obama. Yet, as I'm about to reveal, things are about to get much, much worse. You see, in what former Vice President Dick Cheney has now openly called an inside job against America, an unprecedented level of weakness has been created in the United States directly from within by President Obama. Weakness that now places you and your loved ones in a grave danger. In the following presentation, you'll learn the shocking truth about 5 powerful national threats now facing America. Threats that many, like Dick Cheney, believe Obama has himself created or purposely left unanswered. You'll also learn 3 critical areas in which you absolutely must begin to protect yourself starting today. Yes, the simple fact is that your government has failed you. Yet, what's also true is this: what's left of the American way will soon be in the hands of patriots like yourself. Patriots who prepare now to make the most out of the coming hard times. I won't just show you how to properly prepare yourself. I'll also tell you how to profit in the process and actually change your life for the better. First, please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Richard Reagan. I'm the senior analyst and co-publisher at the flagship publishing company, The Iron Wing. You may know of us from our sterling track record advising readers on important financial and health matters. A track record that's led to a robust subscription of hundreds of thousands of people in over 100 countries around the world. And what follows is the most serious message that we've issued in our entire history. You see, a day of final reckoning is coming. A day that will unfortunately see more financial destruction than the crashes of 1987, 2000, or 2008. As such, you can trust that what I share with you today is something I take incredibly seriously. Because your financial welfare and mine hangs in the balance, and more importantly, the lives of our loved ones who depend on us most. The collective analysis at the Iron Wing indicates that our current bull stock market has just a little steam left. However, it's at long last about to come to a sudden, catastrophic end. More on this in a moment. We estimate that the first of 5 national threats may soon ravage America. The good news is it might still not be too late to properly prepare, and I'll be sharing with you in intimate details steps that I've taken for myself. Yet I urge you to watch this presentation that I've prepared for you now, because realistically, speaking time has almost run out. The Iron Wing has waited patiently for many years to sound the warning bell, and with good reason. Perhaps you've seen bearish financial newsletters incorrectly try to call an end to this 7-year bull market. Maybe you've ignored all of the warnings until now. Please realize they were only wrong because they were simply too early. Or maybe you look at the all-time stock market highs and feel safe. Please, don't be fooled. In this presentation, you'll see 2 simple charts that definitively prove there's been no real recovery. Far from it. In fact, we're more vulnerable than ever before to the various threats that we now face. So, if you haven't yet sufficiently profited from this bull market, you must do so now. You must milk the final excesses of the bubble market. Yet, you must do so in specific, prudent ways. In what follows, I'll walk you through some of the steps and mindset to do just that. I've made an extremely successful career learning how to predict when big crashes are coming. And the Iron Wing is staffed by veterans of 3 major bear markets. We're now 100% certain any one of the 5 national threats aimed at the heart of America will trigger the greatest crash ever seen on our shores. Our fragile financial system just can't take another major hit and survive. Maybe some part of you already suspects or knows that this is true. You probably realize there's a long laundry list of problems still facing our country. Our debt is just one glaring example. The Obama administration has, in a few short years, more than doubled our debt. The numbers are so big, maybe you've even stuck your head in the sand trying not to think about it. The chart you see is our U.S. federal debt. Notice how recent lines get much steeper? That's called exponential growth. If you could increase your money exponentially, that would be good. Yet, you'd have to be crazy to want your personal debt to grow exponentially. However, the Obama administration found a way to do just that. I can't even begin to express to you how bad an exponentially increasing debt is. In fact, we soon won't even be able to pay back even the interest alone. And that's just one small example of the many, many problems facing us. The frightening fact is there are more. A lot more. I'll be presenting some of the problems for you here. You can decide for yourself based on everything you see how much you need to prepare. Now, perhaps you've heard of the term systemic risk. It's from the 2008 stock market crash. It's just a fancy way of saying that some banks are too big to fail. So big that just one of them failing can destroy our entire financial system almost overnight. Here are some excerpts from the definition of systemic risk. Financial system instability. Potentially catastrophic. It refers to the risks imposed by interlinkages and interdependencies in a system. The failure of a single entity can cause a cascading failure, which could potentially bankrupt or bring down the entire system or market. Well, these systemic risks are still with us today. However, Obama's neglect has created something much worse. You see, our total American system, from our inept government, our sickly financial system, our artificially inflated stock market, to our weakened military and our bloated healthcare system, is now incredibly weak internally. America's immunity to threats has been sabotaged from within. An inside job. What were once threats that we could withstand can now destroy us like a deadly virus. So what were once just normal systemic risks are now full national threats to America. All it will take is just one of these national threats to topple our once strong nation. In a moment, we'll examine the 5 most dangerous national threats that we face today. If you're unhappy with the way your government is managing the country you love, please hear me out. And before we go on, also know that I'm not some doom and gloomer. Those people caused good folks to miss out on a historic 300% run in the stock market. Or worse, they spent the last 3 years telling you to pile into gold. They said the dollar was going to collapse, and you're down big if you listen to those people. That's inexcusable. No doom and gloomer here. I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to help you. I'm just a tough old realist with battle scars to prove it. Someone who values wealth, health, and the pursuit of happiness. Someone who will fight to the death to defend his family and God-given rights. And I won't beat around the bush with you. There are some very frightening realities that you now face. Realities that could cause unspeakable horrors to befall you and your loved ones. Yet, if I have my way, patriots like you and me who prepare correctly will come out of this mess smiling. We'll literally be enjoying a round of golf at the country club, even as others who ignored my warning are forced to spend their days saying, "Welcome to Walmart." I'm sure you know I'm not joking. Back in 2008, this happened to people just as smart as you and me who were caught unprepared. It pains me to think of this. People who should be enjoying the fruits of life, of hard work, forced to work at the lowest levels. The humiliation, anguish, and health issues would be horrendous. And sadly, working at Walmart might be a better scenario than what unprepared people will face this time. I want you to avoid this kind of bleak future for you and your loved ones. That's the reason that me and my colleagues at the Iron Wing created this presentation. It is, of course, controversial. Government officials at all levels don't want you to learn the information that you're about to see and hear. As such, we can't guarantee how much longer it'll be available for you online to watch for free. So please, ignore all distractions and pay close attention. Let's begin. National threat number 1, the U.S. debt bomb. In the brief time that you watch this presentation, the national debt will rise by about $100 million. Now, my educational background is business and accounting, yet you don't need my level of expertise to see the problem with this. Let's take a look again at the chart that we saw earlier. That chart alone would be catastrophic if it were just our total debt. Unfortunately, it's not even close. We actually have much more debt in unfunded obligations. As you may be aware, these include Social Security and Medicare. These total about $45.3 trillion, nearly 3 times the external debt. This brings your grand debt total for the U.S. to about $64 trillion. Imagine dividing that up equally among all U.S. adult citizens. Your share is about $260,000. Now, maybe you have $260,000 on hand to give up if Obama tries to confiscate your retirement or pension. He's already trying to take away your guns so that you can't put up that fight. And the problem is, we have record numbers on welfare and food stamps. Most Americans don't have $260,000 just laying around to give to Obama. So your share of the debt is technically much, much bigger. It would take years of all working class Americans working for free to pay this debt. Now, the Federal Reserve did have a crazy plan to get out of this mountain of debt. They planned to make the dollar worth much less by diluting its value. Their idea was that we could just pay back a lot of diluted dollars to other countries. And clearly, they've been trying their best. The printing presses at the Fed have been in overdrive ever since the 2008 crisis. Well, it didn't work out as planned. Right now, the dollar is about as strong as ever. Unlike other newsletters and pundits, the analysis at the Iron Wing knew this would happen. We read the entire geopolitical picture and clearly saw that the dollar would get stronger. We correctly predicted the continued fall of the European Union. This, in turn, meant the dollar would still be the only game in town for the near future. That's why we knew the Fed's plan wouldn't work. And as a result, we Americans are still up to our eyeballs in national debt. Worse still, the U.S. lost its sterling AAA rating for the first time ever back in 2011. Another legacy of the Obama administration. The rating agencies cited political wrangling over the debt ceiling as one reason for the cut. And now we're in danger of getting another downgrade because we have much more debt than back then. And our government is even less functional. So now there's talk in the halls of Washington about just getting rid of the debt ceiling entirely. All this will do is cause more reckless spending and speed up the day of reckoning in which our country can't even pay the interest on its debts. We're literally sitting on a $64 trillion debt bomb, and something as simple as another credit rating downgrade could easily light the fuse on the debt bomb overnight. National threat number 2, World War III. Now let's move on from looking at the debt bombs to literal bombs, atomic bombs. Even mentioning World War III may seem like a remote possibility, yet let's face it, there are actually many wars going on around the world right now. Many of these we may conveniently ignore as our media often doesn't cover them. The real concern, though, is the instability and possibility of war among the nuclear-armed nations. And at this very moment, major tensions exist among nuclear-armed nations. Any of these tensions could easily result in nuclear conflict. In order of likelihood, you have Russia, Iran, Israel, Pakistan, India, North Korea. And believe me, all it will take is one of these countries to launch just one nuclear weapon, and World War III will then be almost unavoidable. Russia is one of the most worrisome of all of these threats. In March of 2015, frightening news was announced. Russia was ready to deploy nuclear force in the Black Sea Peninsula of Crimea. Now, you might assume Russian news like this will just go away like it has in the past. However, it's part of a much larger issue that's due to the overall decline of Russia. You see, Russia was already in desperate economic shape going into 2014, and that was before the price of oil plummeted like a rock. As the world's largest exporter of energy, Russia is in a proverbial rock and a hard place with the price of oil being this low. And it gets worse. Russia has been under the effective dictatorship of Vladimir Putin for over a decade, and now the general consensus on the mysterious Putin is that he's lost his grip on reality. Even German Chancellor Angela Merkel describes him as being in another world, and yet he's still in charge of the world's second largest nuclear arsenal. In a country that's never been in worse shape economically, it's literally a recipe for disaster. Meanwhile, nearby in India, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has recently been elected. This makes a nuclear conflict with neighboring Pakistan much more likely. Here's how The Economist describes the new prime minister. Quote, a Hindu nationalist who refuses to atone for a pogrom against Muslims, who would have his finger on the button of a political nuclear conflict with his Muslim neighbors in Pakistan. End quote from The Economist. Before his election, nuclear war was still possible. Now, his anti-Muslim stance makes it much more likely. And Putin and Modi are not the only madmen in charge of nuclear weapons. Maybe you've heard of the cruel leader of North Korea, Kim Jong-un. Military intelligence indicates North Korea has limited nuclear weapons. The problem is they're aimed right at the key allies of the U.S., like Japan or South Korea. Yet North Korea may be the least of our worries. A much more serious threat exists in the rising tensions between Israel and Iran. And Fox News reported that President Obama seems to be encouraging a nuclear conflict with the recent Iran nuclear deal. Quote, suicide is not in Israel's interests or that of the United States, but suicide is what President Obama seems to want by pressuring it to return to indefensible 1967 borders and accept a nuclear deal with Iran, end quote from Fox News. And all this despite Iran's supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, recently calling for death to America. Here's what Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker had to say about the deal. Quote, the Islamic Republic of Iran, the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism, is on the march throughout the Middle East. President Obama's deal risks provoking a nuclear arms race in the most volatile region of the world, one that threatens the survival of our closest regional ally, Israel, and our key Arab partners. End quote. Death to America. You can't make that stuff up. And sadly, Iran's supreme leader may get his wish. He may not even need to lift a finger for it to happen. Former Vice President Dick Cheney seems to think Obama will take America down from within. Quote, if you had somebody as president who wanted to take America down, who wanted to fundamentally weaken our position in the world, it would look exactly like what Barack Obama is doing, the worst president we've ever had, end quote. You can decide for yourself if you agree with Cheney. Yet, with so many national threats facing us today, one thing is certain. Death to America seems more likely than ever before. Now, it used to be that American presidents carried a big stick around the world. You didn't have to worry much about nuclear war. That's changed with Obama in office. He's openly stated that he's more of a citizen of the world. And the nuclear dictators we've discussed know that Obama isn't watching, maybe even on purpose. Some people may doubt this is true, yet under Obama in 2015, the nuclear doomsday clock moved to 30-year highs. This clock measures how close we are to possible global nuclear catastrophe. The only time we've ever been in more danger was in the years leading up to the Cuban Missile Crisis. Back then, the clock was at 2 minutes to midnight. Today, we're at just 3 minutes away, as you can see below, the same as at the height of the Cold War. Compare this to being 17 minutes away just 20 years ago. That was immediately after the presidency of Ronald Reagan and the end of the Cold War. Kenneth Benedict, executive director of the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists, said, quote, a nuclear arms race pose extraordinary and undeniable threats to the continued existence of humanity. And world leaders have failed to act with the speed or on the scale required to protect citizens from potential catastrophe. These failures of leadership endanger every person on Earth, from Kenneth Benedict. She didn't mention Obama by name, yet who else on Earth would have more power to stop the clock? Now, maybe these nuclear weapons won't get detonated on our shores, Yet please know one thing with certainty: a nuclear conflict, wherever it happens, will be a national threat to our country and the entire world. And even President Obama won't be able to keep America on the sidelines of a nuclear conflict. National threat number 3, the China factor. Any of the 6 countries mentioned could trigger a nuclear national threat. You might hope that's our only threat from other countries. Unfortunately, it's not. We're still threatened by other countries in ways that Obama hasn't prepared us for. The biggest of these threats is from China. Many so-called experts predicted for years now that China is plotting the downfall of the U.S. Some said the Chinese wanted to destroy the dollar as the world reserve currency. They also said gold would go above $5,000 per ounce in the process. That's another call we avoided making prematurely, though it's not totally impossible in a few years down the road. These conspiracy theories accusing China of planning our downfall may or may not be true, yet China can still easily take us down one way or another. You see, China can take America down by accidentally taking itself down first. How could this happen? Well, you might have heard the following sad news. In October of 2014, China overtook the U.S. in terms of global purchasing power. This means the global shock, if China's economy were to crash, would spread around the world, and in our weakened state of systemic risk, we'd feel it especially hard here in America. To make things worse, China is our largest trading partner, and unfortunately, China is in terrible financial shape internally. You might not have heard much about this fact because it doesn't get a lot of press coverage, but please, don't just take my word for it. Listen to Richard Vegg, managing partner at Gabriel Investments. He says China has, quote, the largest runaway private debt growth in world history. Private debt since 2008 has grown over $12 trillion, while China's economy has only grown about $4.5 trillion, he says. When you look at financial crises across the past half century or more, they're always caused by a runaway, a very rapid increase in private debt. That was certainly the case in our 2008 crisis. It was true in Japan in 91. Frankly, it was even true in the U.S. in 1929, end quote from Richard Vegg. What he's basically saying is China may soon have a huge crash of its own, just like the U.S. went through in 1929 and 2008. And what happened in Japan in 1991? It took Japan 20 years to recover after their own real estate bubble burst. It happened to financially sound countries like the U.S. and Japan, and you can be sure it can and will happen in the corrupt Chinese financial system. And it's long overdue. 15 years ago, you might not have cared. Today, this has to scare you. The fact is, things are not looking good for China. In 2014, China recorded its slowest growth in 24 years, and this now worries the French bank Societe Generale. It estimates a 30% chance that a hard landing in China will cause a black swan crash event in 2015. Make no mistake, when China falls, so will the U.S., and there's no plan in place under the Obama administration to adequately prepare us. In case you still think China can't really hurt us, consider this. A recent report by the McKinsey Global Institute revealed China's debt quadrupled from $7 trillion in just 2007 to $28 trillion as of 2014. That's a whopping 282% of China's gross domestic product, even higher than the debt ratio of the United States. At this rate of debt growth, China's debt will reach 400% of GDP by 2018, and it only gets worse. What we've looked at so far in China is just the official debt. China also has another exponential debt issue of its own called shadow banking. This chart shows the rate at which this debt is growing since 2002. Simply put, shadow banking, it's like China's version of subprime loans, only worse. In America, subprime loans caused the crash of 2008. Strong banks made loans to weak lenders. In China, weak shadow banks are making loans to weak companies and individuals. And it's estimated the value of these loans was 80% of Chinese GDP in 2014. Now, maybe you thought the empty houses of the U.S. subprime housing crisis was bad. Well, in China, They spend billions on entire ghost cities that are empty. There's just no hiding it. China's crazy lending makes the 2008 subprime lending problem in the US look tame. As you can easily see, it's not really a question of if China crashes. It's more a question of when. Societe Generale predicts there's a 30% chance it happens this year. At the Iron Wing, we think that chance, it's more like 50%. And when China's Great Wall of Debt crisis finally bursts, it will immediately take America down with it. And Obama has no plan to protect us. National threat number 4, the Federal Reserve factor. Now, as we touched on earlier, one way to try and minimize our own U.S. debt crisis back has been to just print more dollars. And you might think, this should have long ago caused huge inflation. That's why other newsletters suggested their readers buy gold like there was no tomorrow. Anyone who followed that advice has about half the money they would have if they instead invested in the dollar. So what went wrong? It's simple. As long as the Fed drives the stock market higher with cheap money, the market just keeps going higher. They all underestimated just how extreme and how long the Fed would go. At the Iron Wing, we knew that Ben Bernanke was going to keep stimulus going in overdrive. He made this clear because he was a student of the Great Depression, and Janet Yellen was the next choice for Fed chairwoman. Her dovish track record assured us that interest rates would remain low. We also saw that the Fed's dual mandate to keep unemployment low meant rates would have to remain low. Yet things have changed recently. The so-called official unemployment rate is at 5.5%. This means the Fed now has to worry about inflation. And as a result, the Fed dropped the word patient from its policy statement on interest rate guidance. This means interest rates may go up as soon as June. I mentioned earlier that other newsletters got one glaring thing wrong when they predicted the market would crash. Well, simply put, they were fighting the Fed. It's the oldest rule in the book. Don't fight the Fed. That means on the way up and on the way down. When the Fed sets rates low, you stay invested in the stock market. But now the Feds have their hands tied. They have to start raising rates. And when the Fed starts to increase rates, you need to buckle up because the bubble is about to pop. And that's pretty much where we are now. With poor job numbers in March of 2015, there's some small hope interest rates will stay low a bit longer. Yet there's no guarantee that they will. And many market watchers predict an interest rate can happen by mid-year. Richmond Fed President Jeffrey Lacker says there's a strong case for a June rate hike. In any case, the time to start preparing is now. Because the moment the insiders find out the Fed's next move, this bull market will come to a screeching halt. And as with the other threats that we've seen, Obama will be powerless to stop it. National threat number 5, the current U.S. stock market bubble. We've examined 4 national risks so far. Any one of them can easily cause a stock market crash of 50% or more. The fact is, a crash that big may happen without any of these factors. If you take a contrarian view, you realize a simple fact. When everybody is bullish on stocks, that means there are no new buyers left to buy, which means the market is about to go down. This is why Warren Buffett says, sell when others are greedy. And that's about where we are right now. Because bullish sentiment on Wall Street is at a historic high as of early 2015. Take, for example, a recent study by Chartcraft. They found that bullish sentiment among 150 financial market newsletter writers is approaching 30-year highs. 30 years includes the crash of 1987, the tech bubble crash of 2000, and the crash of 2008. The record bullishness means we may soon see the biggest crash since the Great Depression, and still, there are other frightening headwinds against this market. For example, did you know that there's a hidden bear market in the Dow? What I mean is a full third of all Dow stocks hit 52-week lows in early 2015, and worse still, 4 other Dow companies are close to 52-week lows at the time of this writing. By the time you see this report, over half the Dow may have hit 52-week lows. Not a sign of a healthy bull market. And the stronger dollar is not going to make it any easier for Dow companies to make money overseas. Yet many pundits somehow say that the strong tech sector will save the day. Please don't get suckered in by that thinking. We saw what happened in the 2000 crash when the market was relying on tech stocks. Very few people realized what was really happening. One person who did predict the coming tech crash was Mark Cuban. He sold all of his holdings at the top and made himself a billionaire in the process. And now he sees an even bigger bubble brewing in tech, this time in the private investment side. Quote, if we thought it was stupid to invest in public internet websites that had no chance of succeeding back then, it's worse today, end quote from Mark Cuban. His point is that there's no liquidity in the Silicon Valley private investment markets. Yet some of these private tech startups like Uber have $40 billion valuations. What if investors want their money out? Unlike in 2000, these private investors can't just easily sell on the open market to get out. This means that the fall will be faster than any other tech crash because there's no liquidity. And the resulting panic will spread to the broader market and its valuations, causing a cascade effect. Mark Cuban was right about the 2000 crash to the tune of about $5 billion. At the Iron Wing, we know that history repeats itself, and we're betting he's probably right again. Look, I can go on and on with examples why the market is in bubble territory. I think you may already realize this on some level, maybe even wonder why it hasn't crashed earlier. Yet the Obama administration would like you to believe that our economy is strong because we have a strong stock market. The simple truth is that it is not at all strong. Far from it. Consider that 34% of the entire American workforce is freelancing, and over 46 million adults are on food stamps. This is an increase of well over 40% since President Obama took office, yet somehow the stock market is now over 3 times higher than it was at the bottom in 2009, at all-time highs. So why is the welfare rate well over double what it was after the 2000 stock market crash? It's because the current market is inflated by the Federal Reserve's low interest rates. When money is this cheap, it automatically flows into stocks. But if you're ready to see the real state of the stock market recovery, please take a deep breath. You're about to see 2 simple charts. Charts the Obama administration does not want you to see. The first is a chart of the S&P relative to the price of gold. This reflects the real state of the market's belief in the recovery of the United States. The value of gold does not lie. The Fed can't just magically print more of it. It's the ultimate reflection of value. And when you look at the S&P relative to the value of gold, you quickly see some glaring facts. First, this inflated stock market has only recovered 88% since the 2008 crash, and only 43% since the highs of the year 2000. It's even worse for tech stocks. Tech has only recovered about 25% of its all-time highs. Tech stocks need to quadruple from here just to get back their value compared to gold back in 2000. These market charts more closely reflect the true state of modern-day America. Americans don't have good, strong jobs. Food stamp dependence is at all-time highs. I'm sorry to say, the stock market recovery in our welfare nation is a bunch of smoke and mirrors. Yes, this bubble market national threat is about to pop. If you listen to former Vice President Dick Cheney, it seems Obama wants it that way. And the coming crash is going to prove it to every man, woman, and child in America. That will be Obama's final parting shot on his way out of office. Let's quickly review now what we've just learned. There are 5 national threats America now faces. President Obama has helped create some of these threats. Others, he seems to have purposely ignored. You might even think of it as an inside job against America. Any one of these 5 threats by itself can end life as you know it in America, and it'll be worse if some of them happen at the same time. So now the real question is, what can you do about the coming crash? Well, you must start preparing now to maintain what's left of the American dream. And that means you need to protect yourself in 3 crucial areas: your wealth, your health, and the pursuit of happiness. The other thing to realize is that every hardship comes with opportunity. Luckily, you now know hardship is coming, so you can put yourself in a position to both survive and also to profit at the same time. That's why the Iron Wing has created a unique protection package for you, a way to protect yourself in all three areas that we just mentioned. We've prepared 6 special reports aimed at preparing you for the tough times ahead. In what follows, I'll also share with you some things that I've personally done to get ready. And we'll also look in detail at what the reports cover. 3 of these reports have you covered in every possible way financially. The next has you covered with the best health advice you'll ever read. And the final 2 reports help you maintain your pursuit of happiness while keeping you strongly motivated. Let's dive in. The first financial report is called A Golden Future: Where Gold Will Go in 2015 and Beyond. It's written by Benjamin Gilpin, the Iron Wing's commodities and precious metals expert. Ben's written the most comprehensive report that you can find on the direction of gold in 2015, and he literally leaves no stone unturned in his analysis. You'll see historical gold analysis going back literally thousands of years. From modern-day geography to current politics, Ben has gold covered from every possible angle. In A Golden Future: Where Gold Will Go in 2015 and Beyond, you'll learn 1. The single biggest influence on the price of gold in 2015 and beyond. 2. The one way you probably never thought of to get more value from your gold investment than it is worth. And best of all, it is 100% legal. 3. How one company with Chilean mining interests is the safest gold miner to invest in. 4. Which types of gold companies to never, ever invest in. 5. How U.S. Treasury plans will affect the price of gold. 6. How the recent drop in energy prices will change Russia's precious metals policy and what that means for gold. 7. The price per ounce magic number. This tells you when you should invest in gold mining stocks again. 8. How global warming could heat up your gold investments in 2015 and beyond. 9. The one Indian law you probably never heard of passed in 2014 and its power impact in the gold market. 10. How conditions in Argentina will move gold in 2 important ways. 11. How the Eurozone and Greece factor into the gold equation for 2015. I think you'll agree with me after reading this report. There's simply no more in-depth analysis on gold available anywhere, and in the months to come, it absolutely is essential that you have access to such research. A lack of this level of detail is why other newsletters made the fatal mistake of saying gold would hit $6,000 per ounce. Now, don't get me wrong, the coming difficult times ahead may soon call for having at least some gold, ideally physical gold. Yet, you have to know how to time that investment, how to make the most of it, and not get burnt. You can count on A Golden Future: Where Will Gold Go in 2015 and Beyond, and the Iron Wing to keep you flying high with gold. The next report we've prepared for you is called Boomer Alert: 12 Steps to Financial Freedom. No matter where you are today, this report shows you the steps necessary to gain altitude in your financial plan, even if you really didn't have much of a plan to begin with. Think of it like having all the wisdom of a financial planner in one report at your fingertips. In Boomer Alert: 12 Steps to Financial Freedom, you'll first take an honest look at where you are now. The report begins by convincingly showing you why there is hope at any age, as long as you take the right steps. Next, you'll learn what those steps are. It's written by one of our bear market veterans, Mike Zeth. Mike doesn't sugarcoat things, but gets you on track from the very first paragraph. Mike watched as his nest egg evaporated almost overnight in the 1987 market crash. In today's dollars, Mike started with well over $1 million and lost over $600,000. He spent the rest of his life rebuilding and becoming an avid student of the markets. Mike is a veteran of 3 bear markets. You can trust him to keep you from becoming the victim of the coming market crash. In Boomer Alert: 12 Steps to Financial Freedom, you'll learn how to calculate exactly how much you'll need in your personal nest egg, how to create a plan to reach your nest egg goal, How to create a virtual investment advisory board. The top 13 lessons of Warren Buffett. This saves you 30 years of reading obsessively about Buffett like Mike did. How to hire a financial advisor. Hint, hire fee-based advisors to save money. How to become your own financial advisor if you need to save even more money. Why a little-known fact about Warren Buffett means it is never too late to get rich. Why true diversification has become harder than ever and what to do about it. The nasty truth about why you should never pay for institutional investing advice. Tips to increase your current savings rate. How to keep a positive mental attitude even in tough times that may be ahead. How to be your own financial advisor if you need to save some money. Boomer Alert, 12 Steps to Financial Freedom gives you the most important information that you'll need for hard times ahead. After reading this report, you'll have a smart plan combined with real hope. Let's face it, maintaining financial freedom is going to be challenging in the months and years ahead. Yet, if you play your cards right, you'll do just that. Because crisis brings opportunity, so you can become wealthy even as others are becoming poor. That's why we created the Underground Blueprint to becoming wealthy and happy. This report covers the 15 steps to helping you build more wealth than you ever thought possible, even in the worst economic conditions. In this report, you'll learn things like how to recognize opportunities that others miss, even in the worst of conditions. A beaten-up industry that represents a significant contrarian investment opportunity in 2015. How to increase your income exponentially by understanding the true difference between capital and cash. The single best investment you can make in 2015 and beyond. How to increase your motivation to build wealth. Desire alone is never enough. Everybody wants to be rich, yet few people actually are. The difference between good debt and bad debt, and how to use good debt as a growth tool. How to properly articulate your goals to create a sense of urgency and drive. The commodity that could quadruple in price over the coming years. How to shift from a consumer mentality to a producer mentality to create wealth. The best ways to protect your wealth for your family and future generations. With the 3 financial reports the Iron Wing has prepared as part of the Platinum Protection Package, you get financial coverage from every angle. Yet, let's face it, trying times ahead will test your health in addition to your finances. That's why we've also commissioned our staff to produce for you the Potency Program Report. Let's be honest, Obamacare is probably not making your health any better. If anything, it'll probably make your health worse over the coming years. So in this day and age, you have to take an active role in looking out for yourself. And there's one area of health that'll be the most important in the difficult times ahead. That's your masculine potency. I'm not just talking the stereotypical bedroom potency issues here. I'm talking about your ability to make quick, intelligent decisions. The ability to physically stand up to threats that may come your way. The ability to take aim and pull the trigger if you need to protect your loved ones. The sad truth is that in modern America, we lose a lot of these abilities as we age. Maybe you've noticed that you aren't quite as sharp as you were back in your 20s, or that you aren't as physically strong as you once were. Maybe even notice your belly hangs over your pants a little bit too much for your liking. Stress might get to you more than it used to. All these issues have one thing in common: a lack of testosterone, the master male hormone. And it may come as no surprise to you that low testosterone is related to all of the above problems, but it might actually surprise you to know how much you can do to easily increase testosterone naturally. You might be asking yourself why this is important. Look, as I said earlier, I'm a realist. When the next big crash happens, crime is going to go way up. If it's as bad as we predict, normal crime will be the least of your worries. Social order itself will break down. Even in these relatively peaceful times, we still see rioting, looting, vandalizing, and social unrest. Well, when the big crash comes, this will be commonplace, even in the most secure areas of the country. In fact, formerly peaceful neighborhoods and affluent areas will be the hardest hit. They are the ideal targets for desperate people. If you've seen pictures of Detroit after 2008, you understand how this can happen almost overnight. To better prepare you for this type of scenario, the Iron Wing created the Potency Program Report to ensure you're at your optimal masculine condition come what may. In this indispensable report, you'll learn how increasing your testosterone levels will improve your mental focus, wit, strength, vision, energy, and much more. Why modern life in America is a testosterone apocalypse and what you can do about it. The 2 forms of testosterone in your body and which you must tell your doctor to check for. Why 98% of your testosterone is not available to make you more masculine. The 8 major causes of low testosterone and what you can do about them. How financial stress can actually lower your testosterone. The 2 foods you must avoid to keep your testosterone levels high. The prescription medications that may even now be destroying your testosterone. The 5 biggest causes of low potency. 11 ways you can naturally increase your testosterone. What your doctor probably won't tell you about the risks of testosterone replacement therapy. Hint, these include stroke and man breasts. The reality of lower potency was something that I had to confront myself recently. You see, my financial success had been wonderful, but frankly speaking, it also made me soft. So I spared no expense in learning what it took to reverse that. I found there's no reason that you shouldn't have all the full vigor of your youth, and I can also tell you confidently that you're soon going to need it, especially if even just one of the 5 national threats that we've analyzed today gets triggered. Imagine for a moment you're living at the height of the American crisis to come. People are desperate. Crime has doubled almost overnight. Looters and criminals are watching homes in your area for the easiest victims. Are they going to go after the guy who looks strong and aggressive? Or the guy who's pudgy, who moves slowly, and even has a slight hint of man breasts? This may sound funny, but believe me, it's no joke. I asked myself this very question, then took immediate action. That's why I put the full power of the Iron Wing behind creating the Potency Program. It's simply the most comprehensive report you can find anywhere on the subject of improving your male masculine potency. Now, the Potency Program Report is primarily about preparing you mentally and physically for the coming crash. But I have to mention briefly a nice side benefit that you'll gain from reading it. You'll see greatly improved fun and performance in the bedroom. Now, let's quickly review. The Iron Wing Platinum Protection Package reports thus far have you covered in the areas of wealth and health. Yet, as odd as it might sound, it's also vitally important to still pursue happiness and luxury in your free time. You see, you absolutely need to do something to keep you motivated even when the going gets tough. Even if it's only an ideal at first, something to strive for. So at the Iron Wing, we asked a simple question. How can you do this and simultaneously prepare for the coming trying times that lay ahead? The answer came to me recently while playing golf. I was talking with one of my closest friends, a powerful CEO of a company you might recognize. We were lamenting the sad state of America under Obama. He turned to me at one point and said this, quote, "Rich, things will soon get as bad as we expect they will. Just know that all my resources are yours to help you and your family," end quote. Now, I've made excellent preparations, yet his words instantly made me feel much more at ease. I thought I knew how I'd met this great man. We were not old college buddies. We were not in the army together. No, amazingly enough, we met playing golf at a simple public golf course. I'm not ashamed to say that I used my networking skills to get a friendly golf game going with him. Even though I was new to golf, we formed a strong and profitable friendship since then. So then it dawned on me. I now knew how to keep the spirit of hope alive in our readers and how to help them prepare for the worst of times too. We decided to combine leisure and the pursuit of happiness in a way that still helps protect you. Something to distinguish us from the doom and gloom crowd. Allow me to explain. I mentioned earlier that if I had my way, you'll be enjoying a game of golf while others who miss this presentation may be forced to take menial jobs. I wasn't kidding about the golf part. Now, maybe you're not a golfer, yet please hear me out on this because it still fits with your survival plan. You may know that golf is probably the single best networking activity on the planet. Some of the strongest friendships I know of have been formed on a golf course. Heck, even just talking about the game with a sense of passion can create a bond of loyalty and trust. And as you know, even in the darkest of times, we all need something to look forward to, a prize to work for. That's why I commissioned the resources at the Iron Wing to put together a very unique report. And even if you've never hit a single white ball in your life, you'll still benefit from our next report. The 7 steps to becoming the most effective networker to ever step foot on a golf course, even if you don't golf. Golf wasn't invented in America, yet it's arguably one of the greatest symbols of American wealth and pursuit of happiness and freedom. Some of the greatest business deals and friendships in the history of our country were made on the rolling greens of a golf course. And when America gets hit by any of the fatal 5 national threats that you've just seen, strong friendships will likely be your single most valuable asset. This is far more important than ever because studies show that on average, men lose friends the older they get. So this report offers you a way to make new friends while strengthening your old friendships. In our unique report, you'll learn tips that you'll find nowhere else. Tips you can use the very first time you step foot on a golf course, even if you've never golfed. You'll learn things like how to choose the absolute perfect time to start talking business on the golf course, how to best use natural high notes during the game to maximize advantage, when to never talk business on the golf course, how to turn your mistakes on the course into deal-making magic, the definitive answers on whether to offer other players golf advice, how to deal with different personality types in the golf course, the definitive answer on whether to throw the game to make an important player feel good, the single most important hole in golf and how to play it perfectly. And if you're a regular golfer, ask yourself if the investment you've put in so far has fully paid off. This report will teach you the steps to make it pay off multiple times over. And many of the tips covered help you network on or off the golf course. So it'll be useful to you whether you're an active golfer or not. And it doesn't matter if you're a total beginner at golf like I was. You can always aspire to learn or get better. In the coming years, it really won't be what you know, but who you know. So please, however you do it, start expanding your circle of friends now. And while we're on the subject, we have another complimentary report for you. Unusual Ways to Play Golf Like a Pro, Extended Edition. Written by our in-house golf publisher, Ethan Kovitz, this engaging and humorous report will have you playing like a pro in no time. Maybe you're thinking, Richard, I really don't play much golf. I guarantee you will still love this free report. Read Unusual Ways to Play Golf Like a Pro just once, and you'll at least sound like a pro when talking about golf. And I promise it'll be the most entertaining thing that you've read all month. Here are some of the topics covered in this unique report. The 5 things you must practice visualizing to play golf like Jack Nicklaus. 8 tips to get you out of even the worst slump. The 5 keys to successful, effective visualization. Number 5 is the key to life, both on and off the golf course. 5 strategies for successful course management. Simple exercises to give you pro swing speed in no time. Do these from the comfort of your own home, no equipment needed. How to increase your swing speed by up to 30 miles an hour. 4 secrets of a successful short game. 3 things the pros never do. Now, we've just seen 6 different innovative reports meant to protect your wealth, health, and the pursuit of your happiness. I promise you that these reports will help protect you against any aftermath of the coming national threats. They'll help you lay the groundwork for weathering the coming storm. Yet, we also realize that you'll need real-time guidance from us. That's why the Platinum Protection Package contains 5 different newsletters for you. These newsletters cover the same 3 critical areas covered in the reports that we've just seen. Our goal is to form a flying fortress of protection around you at all times, to flank you on every side by the best possible advice in every area of your life. Now, it would be a miracle if America doesn't get hit by at least one of the threats that we've covered. Yet even then, you'd still profit massively from our regular newsletter stock picks and flagship investment advice. Or when storm clouds appear and we think the market is going to crash tomorrow, You'll know immediately when to get out. We publish each newsletter a minimum of 4 times per month, and they're delivered promptly to you by email. Let's look at the different newsletters that you can get with the Platinum Protection Package. Intelligence Bullets by Benjamin Gilpin. This premier investment newsletter focuses on commodities, including the power and energy sectors. It also covers metals, mining, and agriculture. Here's what Alan of Folsom, California had to say about Intelligence Bullets. Quote, Ben's advice has been right on target. His advice about buying gold helped me increase the value of my holdings by about 80%. His understanding of the world gold market played an important part in my holdings growth. With a global economy, advice like that offered by Ben is vital. That's from Alan Kay of Folsom, California. Rockstock by Mike Zeth. This newsletter helps you grow your monthly cash flow, your long-term money, and your stock portfolio. Rockstock finds you the best value-based investments. It gives you deep insights into the bottom line worth of stocks so you can make the best possible decision to grow your portfolio at your own pace. You get actionable news in the stock market and hot stock tips, as well as tips on diversification, global investing opportunities, and more. Quote, Before I read Rockstock, I wasted years teetering back and forth between nearly broke and temporarily wealthy. It made me see how growing real personal wealth is possible, even for someone in my financial shape. It inspired me to get moving forward with actual specific tips instead of just vague generalities. End quote from Nick in Lubbock, Texas. Rainy Day Money by Joe Avedis. This newsletter gives you the best wealth building strategies for a safe and secure retirement. Its mission is to help you build wealth, to hold wealth, and pass it down to your future generations. You'll get retirement planning and wealth preservation at the granular level. We look at money building and holding strategies from many directions. Rainy Day Money is a premier investment newsletter which focuses on growing and protecting wealth. You'll learn wealth management, saving a nest egg, and planning for retirement. Rainy Day Money will improve your financial security and future wealth through a wide variety of research, analysis, latest news, insights, and actionable advice. Our editors are always looking for the best long-term investment opportunities for you. Alan E. of Sacramento, California wrote in to say this about Rainy Day Money. Quote, Before Joe, my financial plan was to live from paycheck to paycheck. With his guidance, I learned there are 15 steps to making a financial plan and that it works as well for the average person as a couple of means. Now, I'm protecting my family and have plans to protect my legacy. End quote from Alan E. in Sacramento, California. Health Edge by Slade Asante gives you tips and advice that makes you feel naturally healthier, stronger, and happier. Health Edge brings you the absolute best and honest information about healthy living in today's world. You'll learn how to take control of your health and happiness regardless of circumstance, starting today. And Health Edge will also help you maintain your maximum male potency no matter how old you are. Here's what John from Salt Lake had to say. Quote, Despite what a popular song says, I'm not half the man that I used to be. I feel young again, like I'm back in college dating sorority girls. End quote from John C. in Salt Lake City, Utah. Golf Aces by Ethan Kovid. This truly unique and entertaining newsletter will quickly become the brightest spot in your week. You get treated to the best stories, legends, myths, and gossip from the game of golf. The mission of Golf Aces is to entertain you, to take you on a joyride with a true golf lover, expert, and connoisseur. We get praise like the following for Golf Aces from people everywhere around the country. Quote, the golf advice was absolutely amazing. I learned more about my game in 20 minutes of reading than I had from over 15 years of playing the greens. I've shaved 4 strokes off my average at the TPC Sawgrass by improving my driving and putting. That's from Terrence in Jacksonville, Florida. Let's quickly review what the Iron Wing Platinum Protection Package includes. 5 premier newsletters that protect your financial well-being and your health, all while inspiring you and keeping you motivated through the good times and the bad. Intelligent Bullets by Benjamin Gilpin. Rockstock by Mike Zeth. Rainy Day Money by Joe Avedis. Health Edge by Slade Asante. Golf Aces by Ethan Kovid. You also get immediate digital access to the 6 special reports that we looked at. A Golden Future, Where Will Gold Go in 2015 and Beyond? Boomer Alert, 12 Steps to Financial Freedom. The Underground Blueprint to Becoming Wealthy and Happy. The Potency Program, Unusual Ways to Play Golf Like a Pro, Extended Edition. The 7 Steps to Becoming the Most Effective Networker to Ever Step Foot on a Golf Course, even if you don't golf. There's never been a more unique, comprehensive, and complete package created to protect you from the coming crisis. Now, you might wonder what the investment would be to fully protect yourself from Obama's inside job. Each of the 6 Iron Wing reports listed above usually retails separately for $99 each, yet today you get access at a substantial discount. I simply can't let cost be a deterrent to you because I feel it's urgent that I get this information into your hands as soon as possible. That's why today you won't even invest half of that amount, not even a third. Today, through this presentation only, you'll get access to all of the 6 reports in the Platinum Protection Package for only $99. You get 6 for the price of 1. That's over an 80% discount for you today only through this presentation. Consider it my bribe to you, a bribe to take decisive action now to protect yourself and your loved ones. And I'm not done. I also want to give you a free gift, a full month subscription to every single one of the 5 Platinum Protection Package newsletters. Each of the newsletters in the Platinum Protection Package normally has a subscription fee of $29.99 per month. Yet, through this presentation only, you'll get the first month entirely free. That's a $149.95 value, yours free today. You'll also have the option to continue your subscription thereafter at a substantial discount. Just have a look through them all for your first free month. We're confident the Platinum Protection Package is the best single investment you can make to protect yourself against Obama's inside job. And only after you're 100% satisfied this is true, you can continue your subscription at a 47% discount of $79 a month. If at any time in the first 60 days you're unsatisfied in any way for any reason, you'll be issued a prompt and courteous refund. And all Platinum Protection Package reports will remain yours to keep. That's a $594 value, yours to keep regardless of your decision. Not to mention the $149.95 of free newsletter services. Your subscription also includes convenient automatic renewal to ensure no chance of interrupted service. Just click the big red arrow below that says, yes, begin my Platinum Protection Package subscription immediately to get started. You'll instantly receive all 6 Platinum Protection Package special reports, and you'll also get your first issues of all 5 Platinum Protection Package newsletters. Remember, the clock is ticking down towards a very different future. Each moment you delay is another moment that you could be profiting from our advice. Another moment the Platinum Protection Package can work to protect you and your family. Simply click the big red arrow below that says, yes, begin my Platinum Protection Package subscription immediately. You face a simple choice today. You can do the smart thing and choose to join the ranks of those well protected by the Iron Wing. Or you can take a risk that all things will magically be okay. Perhaps you mistakenly believe that the government will protect you, that Obama's got your back. Yet, do you realistically think that the Obama administration can or even wants to protect you from the U.S. debt bomb, the very exponential debt problem Obama created in the first place? World War III? At 2 minutes to nuclear doomsday, do you trust Obama to lead us through the nuclear conflict? The China factor, whether China attacks us through currency wars or indirectly by its own economic failure. The Federal Reserve factor, diluting the value of your money at the rate of $2 million every minute. The current U.S. stock market bubble, a bubble of unprecedented size that's been created by the Federal Reserve's unprecedented cheap money policies. Any one of these very real national threats can easily overwhelm our weakened system beyond its ability to protect you. And if Dick Cheney is right, Obama doesn't care. Look, I've tried not to be overly alarmist up to this point. Yet, if you still haven't acted, I feel kind of compelled to remind you of the stark reality that you may soon face. Most Americans have forgotten just how close we were, just years ago, to total financial destruction. In the next crash, such destruction is virtually assured. What would you do tomorrow if you woke up and you found that your ATM and credit cards just didn't work? Or if the US government had seized your retirement funds, or that Obama outlawed your guns? Or if they seized any physical gold holdings that you might have, like they did back in April of 1933. Make no mistake, in desperate times, the government takes desperate measures. Just imagine going online to check your bank balance or retirement balance and seeing it at zero. What would you tell your family? How would you pay for the bare necessities in life? Would you have close friends who had prepared better than you? Friends who would be willing to share their resources with you? If armed looters forced their way into your home, would you be healthy and ready to defend yourself and your loved ones? These are just some of the possible scenarios that we aim to help you avoid with the Platinum Protection Package reports. That's why I urge you to take advantage of the risk-free offer that you have before you today. You can examine the research contained in our report at your leisure, risk-free. You can act on the timely advice in each of our 5 Platinum Protection Package newsletters. At the end of 1 month, you can still get a full refund and still benefit from all of our research for free. Viewed that way, the Iron Wing is taking all the risk here. So please, don't delay any longer. Start your subscription to the Iron Wing Platinum Protection Package today. Click the big red arrow below that says, "Yes, begin my Platinum Protection Package subscription immediately." Thank you sincerely for watching. Richard Reagan, co-publisher and senior analyst for the Iron Wing. It looks like you're still here, so you might have a few more questions. We've recorded some of the common questions that we've received from viewers like you as follows. Question: I've been subscribed to another newsletter that said 5 years ago the dollar would destabilize and lose reserve currency status, but it never happened. I lost a lot of money buying gold in late 2013 because of this, and even more shorting the dollar. Now the dollar is very strong and the euro is almost at parity with the dollar. What are your thoughts on this? Answer: The Iron Wing has recognized some risks to the dollar did exist, but our analysts also know that calling the end to the dollar is far harder than calling the top in a bull market. Some would call it a fool's errand. Tops and bottoms occur all the time in the stock market, yet the US dollar has stayed the reserve currency for a very long time with no change, and recent strength would suggest that that should continue for some time. It can't be denied that Obama has grossly mismanaged our national finances. Still, the United States had the most global purchasing power until late 2014. Reviewing the recent charts of gold and the dollar, we see the following. So it looks like those calls lost you about 32% instead of gaining you 32% if you had gone the other way, as our analyst suggested. This means that if you compare what you have left to what you could have gained, it's a 95% difference. In other words, you have half the money now that you could have had. Our approach has been to follow the action of the gold markets directly. They will always reflect what is likely to happen with the dollar. Like any good battle squadron, the Iron Wing is nimble and makes course corrections mid-flight. In your report, A Golden Future, Where Gold Will Go in 2015 and Beyond, you'll see exactly how this works. Over time, you can get back the money you lost. We invite you to come fly with us and see how. Question: I feel like I've done pretty much everything wrong to prepare for my retirement. Is there still hope for me? Answer: the good news is that if you have the right information, there's always hope. And while you aren't alone, 1 in 3 baby boomers has less than $1,000 saved. The advantage you have now is that you're in the right place at this exact moment. From the very first page of Boomer Alert, 12 Steps to Financial Freedom Report, we get you to take simple actions to turn around your retirement ship. Question: you mentioned that there's hope for me no matter where I am. How can that be true? Answer: you may not have known this, but Warren Buffett made most of his wealth after the age of 50. Henry Ford started Ford Motors in his 40s. Now, you may not become a billionaire like Buffett, but the main thing you need to succeed wherever you are now is strong financial intelligence and information. The Iron Wing Platinum Protection Package has you covered starboard and port side with both. Question: My health has been a concern to me. I feel like Obamacare is the worst thing that could have happened to me at this age. What can I do? Answer. Obamacare is one of the top bogeys that the Iron Wing would like to see gunned down after the next election. But we won't predict that will happen. Instead, we realize that protecting your health proactively is now more important than ever before. That's why you have the Health Edge newsletter included in your Iron Wing Platinum Protection Package. I hope these questions have helped to answer any remaining concerns that you might have. We sincerely hope to see you on the 19th hole with the rest of the Platinum Protection Package subscribers. So start your subscription to the Iron Wing Platinum Protection Package today. Click the big red arrow below that says, "Yes, begin my Platinum Protection Package subscription immediately," and I'll see you on the other side.